Hey, folks, welcome back to EUNOIA. It's Sable Danielle, your spiritual mentor and host. This week we will be discussing adaptability. What exactly does adaptability mean, though? Adaptability is the ability of being able to adjust to new conditions. Seems like a pretty good time to dive on in. One important lesson that I've learned throughout life is that no matter how much you strategize, no matter how many plans you come up with, life has a funny way of not giving a damn. You plan, think through all of the details of how to move forward and attack something. Then when you least expect it, a curveball comes way out of left field and throws off your entire plan. Maybe this completely changes your plans, or maybe it causes some sort of delay or setback. But either way, it throws you off of your game for a bit. I never typically handle those types of situations very well, but I'm learning. I've been a perfectionist who enjoys having too much control in order to avoid failure, so I know all too well the fear of change. But life has showed me that it's much more important to be able to move fluidly with the curveballs rather than try to avoid them. After all, the curveballs are coming at you regardless. There is no avoiding them, so it's up to you to decide whether you want to try to catch those things or get popped in the mouth by them. I decided that my goal is to try to catch or at least guard myself from those curveballs. I refuse to keep getting popped in the mouth. I've experienced what that felt like a few times, and I don't need any more of those experiences. I know that in the last week's episode, I spoke about the importance of setting intentions, and all of that is still very much so true. This episode doesn't take away from the fact that setting intentions is important. Being adaptable doesn't change your intentions. It just changes your route of getting there. Setting intentions is a way to give yourself some direction. I believe that setting intention puts more power behind your actions, thus providing deeper meanings and better outcomes. But the beauty of it all is how we tie it all together, stay balanced, and keep pushing when life does throw those curveballs at you. This shelter in place is a perfect example of how adaptable we really are, and how we can become more adaptable if need be. In the blink of an eye, it seems like our everyday freedoms were taken away from us. How have we been able to adjust to something that most of us have absolutely no type of plan for? Working environments have changed, school environments have changed, home environments have changed. Our daily lives have completely changed. The routine that most of us were all used to has changed, and we have all been forced to adapt in some way, shape, or form. And if you're choosing not to adapt, I'm pretty sure that this entire time is a lot harder to accept and handle than it would be otherwise. This pandemic hit us at a terrible time. It's wedding season, graduation season, one of the best sports times, nice weather is approaching, babies are being born, holidays have passed, and more are approaching, to name a few of the huge things that have been affected by this coronavirus pandemic. There is no escaping all of this. There is no hiding from it. These are the curveballs that the universe decided to throw at us. So have you been catching them or getting beat up by all these curveballs? Did you get hit with a few in the beginning, but then catch your rhythm? Now you're catching them rather than getting hit by them? That's what it means to be adaptable. I think that when this all first started, we all got hit with a couple, but I decided to start catching those things and rolling with the punches that life has begun to throw at me. This pandemic started at a terrible time, and not knowing the outcome or time frames for anything really can negatively impact our everyday lives. For me, there have been so many things that have happened during this time that we've been in this shelter in place. When it started, it was my nephew's birthday. His birthday plans had to be rearranged, but instead of resisting it, we made sure to make it a birthday that he would never forget. It's his birthday regardless of whether coronavirus has us all stuck in the house or not. A few other important birthdays have come and gone, and we weren't able to celebrate those as we would have been able to if COVID-19 wasn't around. I had trips planned because I told y'all that this was the year that I decided to start actively living, no longer waiting. Now those trips are postponed indefinitely. See what good waiting does? What a bummer, but am I going to sit and be mad about it, or am I going to accept and deal with reality? I'm dealing with reality. During this time, my grandpa passed away. I didn't get to deal with that how I normally would expect to deal with a family death, but here I am, wheeling and dealing because I really have no other choice. Sitting in extended sadness isn't going to help, but I do allow moments to feel my emotions regardless. I'm in the middle of building my brand. Attending events and networking is a big part of this. All of that is postponed, so thank goodness for the events that I attended and the people that I met prior to all of this. Oh, on top of that, My lease also ended, and I had to pack up everything on my own and move in the middle of this coronavirus debacle. I was super worried about that at first, overthinking everything that could go wrong because of COVID-19. Initially, I didn't want to let movers in my place. I wasn't sure how to implement my next moves because so many things were up in the air. But I am adaptable, so I sat in my thoughts and I realized that, regardless of COVID, I still had shit to do and take care of. This just changes how I go about it. I had to take extra time to think, ask more questions, get more prepared. Are moving companies even working during this time? Do I have gloves, a mask, disinfectant, not to inject, but to clean my environment? Do I have the Target app so that I can actually utilize curbside pickup rather than lollygagging in Target and putting myself in an environment that I don't really need to or want to be in at the moment? Shout out to my sister for putting me onto the Target curbside pickup. It's such a game changer. It takes a little bit of extra time to think things through, but being adaptable and being able to move fluidly with the current state of our environment saved me from taking the easy way out and allowing myself to be stuck somewhere that I no longer wanted to be. By saying, F it, I don't want to deal with this, it's too much, too risky, I'm just going to renew my lease and deal with this next year. Nah, that wasn't going to cut it for me. If I resisted and took the easy way out, that would hinder my future. Adapting to the flow of things allows me to still have my freedom to make choices for my happiness. Allowing the effects of COVID-19 to dictate that for me does not give me that freedom. Also, I was finally back in my gym groove, and then bam, all the gyms are closed. So sad. I didn't adapt very well to that, if I'm being honest. The first couple of weeks were pretty good with the home workouts and being motivated, but it's not cutting it for me. So I've kind of resisted and have embraced eating and not being able to work out how I enjoy working out. I miss the gym, I miss barbells, I miss deadlifting. I miss the feeling of being in the gym and working out in front of mirrors with good lighting. I miss secretly competing with other folks in my head while I'm there. But I can't keep getting stuck in the things that I miss about the gym. I need to focus on how I can still attain my health and fitness goals despite the gym being closed. I know how, because I've done it before. All you need is space and motivation. I guess I've just temporarily chosen not to adapt in that area. I have a lot going on, and to be honest, my fitness levels have dropped as of late, but it's on the forefront of my goals. Did I mention that I'm building my brand and I started my podcast this year? Talk about the adaptability. This is so far out of my norm, so far away from anything that I ever thought that I would be doing. I had to adapt on so many levels. I have to fight my urge to procrastinate. I had to force consistency in my life. I had to work on developing my entrepreneurial skills. I have to be organized and self-motivating. I have to push my boundaries regularly now. I have to share more. I have to be vulnerable. I have to hold myself accountable. There is no room for lacking. We face having to adapt to things every single day. Whether you're driving and your normal route has extra traffic or a closed road, you have to adapt. If a relationship or friendship hits a few bumps in the road or ends, you must adapt. When you change jobs or you move, you must adapt. Having children or deciding to purchase a pet, you have to adapt. If you plan on making a certain meal but the store doesn't have one ingredient, you have to adapt. This outbreak of the coronavirus has definitely affected our lives and how our world operates. I don't really see things going back to normal, which doesn't automatically equate to bad. That just means that we have to adapt to the changes that we face. We have to face it, we have to accept it, and we have to allow ourselves to learn how to maneuver through it. We can create a new normal, and hopefully it's better than our last normal. That's the goal of adaptation anyway. There's no other way to live life but through constant adaptation. That's where you see the growth and the progress. That's how you continue to maintain the power over your life, even during times of adversity. These are just a few of my examples and experiences. In what ways have you all had to adapt, either because of a choice that you made or being forced to adapt? Are you currently adapting to the changes in your life? I hope so. It's much easier to allow the flow rather than work against it. And I'd rather that none of us get popped in the mouth, so be ready for those curveballs. I'll catch you guys next week at our final episode of the season. Hope you all join me. Stay safe and stay adaptable. Peace and love. Sable Danielle.